G'day and welcome to the GameDay Squad NRL Fantasy Show. I'm Stu, that's Dyl, and we are the Fantasy Bros. Very excited to have once again partnered with GameDay Squad this NRL season to bring you all you need to know to succeed in GDS Rugby League in 2026. Well, it's Wednesday. You know what that means. Team List Tuesday has dropped, and GDS coaches are starting their run home to leaderboard, cup, or prize card glory with just 5 rounds remaining. Dyl, welcome, mate. Before we get into the positional previews and reveal the players we hope will take us to glory, let's go around the grounds. How did you go in round 22?
Yeah, g'day, Stu. G'day, everyone watching and listening. Look, pretty decent round. I was pretty happy 6th in champion and then 3rd in Sunday Showdown and a win over Mono Brower in the GDS Cup to finish top of my grouping there. Unfortunately, I got absolutely stitched up in what I hope was a random draw, but I'm actually playing Penrith this weekend, who also topped his grouping and is currently, I think, was 3rd in Classic overall at the time of their grouping. Ooh. So pretty tough challenge this weekend, but yeah, pretty happy with the 6th in champion in particular. A couple of calls went my way and a bit unlucky to start the round with James Tedesco going off at halftime. I thought my weekend was over, but it was good to get a few back. And one of those in particular, really, that helped me with that 3rd in Sunday Showdown was Ronnie Muatalo. I played this diamond thinking there might be a little bit extra there. Not many people would probably play his diamond, so I might get a little bit more. Fortunately, I just couldn't quite get there. So 3rd, fingers crossed, I have made the wild card for the Sunday Showdown because I didn't secure a ticket, but that kicks off this weekend as well. Mate, how did you go? You got a little bit of a Band-Aid there over Xavier Willison.
Yeah, look, I wanted to highlight some of the negatives. We talk about all of the calls we get right, but not often do we talk about what we get wrong. Look, I thought Xavier Willison was a really good pod shout for the round, not just in the under-24 competition, but look, I own 3 diamonds of Xavier Willison and 3 diamonds appeared across 3 of my squads. I was really confident that even if the Bronx didn't perform well or he didn't score a try, that he'd still get through plenty of work, plenty of base, and there was always that chance of some high attacking upside. I'll let you know that I turned the game off after 5 minutes when I looked up and he wasn't on the left-hand side of the field. I think the Knights scored a try really early on, and then they sort of went back to the kickoff, and I was like, hang on, what's Jaden Hunt doing out there? And then the news later came through that Xavier Willison had left the field. So I was just absolutely shattered. It only took 5 minutes, 3 points, a diamond in Challenger, in Champion, and in the under-24s. So my best finish was 8th in the Sunday Showdown. You can see that no top 20 finishes because I had that Xavier Willison coupled with the Toby Couchman injury that I'm sure a lot of people had as well. But still 5 rounds to go, mate. I think I'm still first in the overall Challenger leaderboard, which I'm just hanging on by a thread there, about 5 points over Prison Mike. Shout out Prison Mike. So pretty exciting. 5 rounds remaining.
Yeah, look, obviously we've got plenty of success happening across a lot of the competitions, not just in the full round, but also in some of the special comps. And look, there's plenty of opportunities still get involved and plenty of chances, even if you are outside the top 10, top 20 overall for the season, to still win some cash and pack prizes. So perfect opportunity to tune in every Wednesday night right here at FantasyBros AU on YouTube, catching up on Spotify or Apple to go through everything that this round has to bring. As you said, it is a run home. We've got 5 rounds left before we get to the pointy end of the season for the actual NRL. Remember, there's going to be some finals competitions as well in terms of GDS. But look, our Wednesday evening shows, we're going to preview who we think the best players are across each of the positions, as well as those bench spots. And we'll talk through some of the start sits. We're going to have quite a bit of a discussion around a couple of players in particular that one of us thinks is a play this week and the other thinks might be a bit of a fade. So keep an eye on that. We're going to talk through a couple of players for the under-24 competition and plug the Stats Lab Primetime Comp. And then, of course, the final series of the FantasyBros Sunday Showdown. So make sure you are across everything. If you haven't already, subscribe to all of our socials. Like I said, at FantasyBros AU. If you are up and about already over on Instagram, I just posted our first NFL rankings post as well. So go and check out who we think are going to be the best kickers for NFL GDS this season. Don't forget, finally, check out our website. I'm wearing the hoodie. We've got the hats as well available. Plenty of merch there. The Fantasy NFL preseason textbook is going to go up very soon as well. So plenty of opportunities to get involved. That's fantasybrosau.com.
Not a lot of rest, all things GDS and Fantasy Bros is certainly not too late for you to get involved in GDS either. You can simply sign up using the code FBRL26. That's available for all new users. You might want to take advantage of that code for the remainder of the rugby league season, or maybe you want to get involved in the brand new the NFL competition, or even the women's AFL competition about to start as well. You can use our code FBRL26 for 3x9 player common packs. You'll get plenty of cards to get your contender squad rolling. You'll get heaps of bronze packs in order to get your starter squads rolling as well. And you can compete against Dyl and I, whether it's in the league, the AFL, or the NFL, which is just around the corner. Got a couple of people in the chat, as always. Michael Cosy was a bit concerned 15 minutes before going live, concerned about the whereabouts of Sif Kanga, but better late than ever. And of course, we've got a howdy. Let's get rowdy. Good to see you, boys. And Matty P also had Xavier Willis, and I hope it wasn't my my big monologue this time last week that talked you into it, mate. Apologies if so, but onwards and upwards, I say. Dyl, let's get into the positional previews, mate. We'll start with the hookers like always. Still no Harry Grant, probably expected to return after that Storm bye. We had a conversation last week between Ollie Pascoe, Blake Brayley, Owen Paddy. We've got those three on the strongly consider. Once again, it was Blake Brayley that took it out last week, outscoring both of them. Owen Paddy had a pretty nice 50 in 73 minutes there against the Penrith Panthers. A few too many missed tackles for Ollie Pascoe. Couldn't match the other boys. Dyl, let's start with the strongly considers. Who are you going with in your hooker one spot this week?
Yeah, it's a very similar dilemma to last week, I think, where we've got Pascoe and Paddy really giving us some great attacking upside, but probably the big one, as you touched on, is that missed tackle, that demerit downside versus Brayley, who probably just offers that safety. Looking at the last three rounds, you can see there Ollie Pascoe's leading 58 GDS points averaging across those last three, Brayley 56, and then Paddy 55. Breaking that down a little bit, they actually all have given us a base and power average across those three games of 50. All three of them averaging exactly the same in terms of that base and power output. It's just really those demerits. Paddy giving up 17 points per game, and Pascoe giving up 16 points per game through missed tackles, errors, penalties, etc. Whereas Brayley at the moment, across those three games, has only given up 6. So I think for me, it's going to be Brayley across all teams for that reason. There's a lot of safety there. We've seen a bit of upside from him, obviously, last week with that 70-odd. Pascoe is probably going to be that one that then slots into a bit of a point of difference team. I think he's going to be my main point of difference this week, purely for a number of reasons. One, he's not highly owned. His cards are still quite hard to get a hold of. So I think just from that point of view, not a lot of coaches are going to be playing him in various comps. So if they do have one, they're going to be playing him in their main comp if they're keen on him. And then for me, Paddy comes into under 24. So I think that's where I can diversify a little bit. He's available there. So I think I'll slot him straight into there. Brayley and Paddy are both available for the Sunday Showdown as well. And they might both get a run depending on what that sort of makeup looks like come Sunday morning. I think for me, they'll probably both find a spot into that Sunday team. So I'm getting across all three of them in probably a few different competitions. And that probably doesn't make it easier for people. But for me, Brayley's the main one that I'm focusing on because of that safety.
Yeah, and the Dragons are giving up 44 points in the past 3, which is the 4th best matchup over that time. But that comes from an average of just 60 minutes. We know Blake Brayley is an 80-minute hooker. So if we multiply that out a little bit, we can probably expect about a 50 minimum on average. And look, at this stage, you probably take a 50 to 55 from your hooker position, knowing that even an Ollie Pascoe, if he misses 7 tackles, he can get in the mid-30s. But luckily, if we've got a nice high rarity Ollie Pascoe card, we can still play him in the Stats Lab primetime competition. I'll certainly be rolling out a diamond of Ollie Pascoe for that attacking upside, just in case he manages to find the try line. Gee, he's a phenomenal, an excellent support player. Mate, if we didn't, or for some reason wanted to go against the grain, no Brayley, no Pascoe, no Owen Paddy, Reece Robson, Phoenix Crossland, look, they're okay. They can probably put up a solid 40 to 50. Any love for any of those blokes?
Probably just Crossland, though, I'd say that. The Raiders are allowing 46 to starting hookers in the past 3, and Crossland himself is probably a bit of a boring selection. He's not going to offer too much upside. He doesn't offer a lot of running. It's really all that base and power. I guess the issue with Crossland, he's averaging 43 in the past 3, but that's a combined 13 missed tackles on top of that. He did have 42 points last week in 60 minutes, which is down from his usual 80 minutes that we've seen from him in the past 6 games. So I think still just slightly Crossland just with that matchup. But Robson, you can see there is increasing his average as, over the last couple of weeks as well. He's averaging 44 for the season, but he's up that to 48 in the last 3, obviously off the back of some unreal Roosters work. And you look at it though, and you think that the Roosters put on 80 plus, and Robson still doesn't come away with a big ceiling score, and that's probably the concern. Whereas if someone like Brayley or Paddy, if they have a big game and there's a lot of points on offer, I think they're going to be involved in quite a few of those points.
Yeah, absolutely, totally agree. And we've got JMK and Damien Cook as fades. JMK, Broncos, interestingly conceding just 28 points in 59 minutes to hookers through this past month. So if you like a bit of JMK, maybe that stat might turn you off. And look, the downfall of Damien Cook continues. Still named in that number 9 jersey, but just not getting through any significant amount of work. If you're picking your hooker and scrolling down the top of the averages, he's still sitting up there at just shy of 50 at the moment. First time he's sort of dipped below 50 all season. But we probably want to look well past him. If only Jacob Little could get that 80-minute roll, we'd have a 4th man in competition with the likes of Pascoe Brayley and Owen Paddy.
There must be a point in this season where Jacob Little gets a start and they just say, thanks for your service, Cookie. You have fun in England, but you're done. I don't know. We'll see.
Needs that little pat on the shoulder, the little tap on the shoulder. Say, all right, mate. Thanks, old timer. Let's start looking at our future. Righto, mate. Let's move on to the middle forward position. A little bit tricky here with the West Tigers on the bye, plus Toby Couchman out through injury, the mandatory 9-day sit down with the concussion symptoms. I was half maybe expecting him to be named and then maybe to fight it, but probably doing the right thing by young Toby and giving him at least a week off. So, look, no Terrell May, no Alex Twal, no Toby Couchman. Our middle forwards might look a little bit different, and look on screen, it certainly is. Isaiah Yeo makes his return to the strongly considers alongside Payne Haas. And your boy, Jackie Williams, headlines that trio in terms of recent averages, 73 through the past 3 matches. Let's start with those 3, mate. Do you like the Haas, Yeo, and Williams combination? And if so, what do you like about Jackie Williams?
Haas, I think for me is a simple one. He's a must-have this week. Interesting that Willison does get named. Obviously, it was a laceration to the leg. Not different to obviously a HIA or a soft tissue injury, but he's also named in the front row. So it'd be interesting to see what that rotation looks like. The bench is quite small as well, so maybe a few more minutes there for Haas, but we haven't seen his best. 80 minutes last week with those injuries, but he could only get 50 odd points. So that one's, I think it's a must because of the limited options that we have. Yo, I don't know about Yo. I still, if you looked at that stat line, if you looked at his numbers over the last few weeks and you didn't know the name, and we just looked at the past 5 scores, for example, 47, 51, 52, 46, and then 84, you probably wouldn't attribute it to Isaiah Yeo because we just haven't seen that from him. So are we chasing last week's points, and do we have to because May and Twal are out? Probably yes to both of those answers. So I think probably I'll bring him into my side, mainly because I'd say many other coaches are. There's a few other options that we can look at. Cameron Murray's got a pretty decent average for the last 3. He's averaging 70-plus minutes over the last 3 games, albeit that he's been out for a few games now. He's back. I think his last game was around 20, so he's going to have a few games off and potentially be back this weekend. Udo Kamanu, obviously back to earth. Last week, he had the 65 rolling average, but that's 37 last week, averaging 51 minutes during that time. I probably don't like him. He's probably on the fade. So then, it's going to be down to Williams and Tino probably is my other decision. And I've been pretty honest throughout the season. I really like Jackie Williams, and at times he's really let me down with his missed tackles. He averaging 5 missed tackles in his past 3, but there was a game of 8 missed tackles in one of those as well, and he still scored quite well. But he's played 80 minutes in his past 3 games. He's averaging 46 tackles, 110 running meters, 5 tackle breaks. That's 72 points in base and power. So if he's putting that out in 80 minutes and he's missing 5 tackles, we lose 15 points, but it's still not too bad from a middle forward, getting that sort of 60-ish or close to, with some attacking upside. He has moved to the right edge, which is an interesting move, but we saw that mid-game, round 21 against the Panthers. I sort of saw him move out to the edge, and that's where he crashed over for those 2 tries against the Panthers. So there's some attacking upside there. We've seen him with some line breaks and a try assist and the last few games. And then add on top of that, the Rabbitohs are allowing 52 GDS points to right edges over the past 3. I feel like it's all lining up for Jackie to have a pretty big game this weekend. So yeah, with the limited options outside of Payne Haas, I think, Yo and Williams probably sneak into my side, and that's probably it. I'm probably looking at maybe 4 edges elsewhere in terms of the bench.
Yeah, I think our edge forward conversation might be a little bit longer. I like the Payne Haas Isaiah Yo play as well. Well done if you did keep the faith with Isaiah Yo. We certainly went cold on him thanks to all of those 40s in a row. He just wasn't seeing the same amount of time on the park or being a key factor in the attacking play either. But 84 points in 75 minutes against the Raiders. Well done. Look, I think it is a play Isaiah Yo this week. And for the reason that I think the game is going to be kind of similar to what it was like against the Raiders. Yes, the Panthers put on a score against the Raiders, but the opposition forward packs are pretty similar. Big packs, the Raiders and the Warriors, and that's when the Penrith Panthers forward pack really have to aim up, and that's where we saw Isaiah Yo roll his sleeves up and get through plenty of work. So I can see probably similar minutes for Yo, particularly if the Warriors are able to keep that game nice and close. But look, I think we do need to be wary moving forward. Even if he does go big again here, you'd have to think if the game's in the bag for Penrith moving forward, it's going to be Yo and Cleary that are probably going to be getting some early showers. But let's just hope if it is so that they've got plenty of points under their belt already. And just quickly, the Jackie Williams mate like that too, given that, he can run at a tired little halfback late in the game and score plenty of points that way. So I don't actually mind the a middle forward playing a little bit on the edge when we've seen that he's capable. What certainly won't be a long-term play, but third middle forward option is definitely going to be quite interesting. Mate, I see you've added Big Red to the fade list. He's been pretty good lately, averaging the exact same as Payne Haas. Why are we not looking at him?
I think for me, I just had a look at his stats, and the last 3 games, he's had the lowest missed tackle count that he's had this season. As well as that, he did step up his minutes last week, 73 minutes, which is the most that he's seen on the park this season. Do we expect that to continue? I don't know. My concern with Big Horse is how fiery he gets, and he can just give away some silly penalties.
Yep.
And we've seen it plenty of times where he's got the ball in his hand as an attacker and he gets penalised for something ridiculous dissent or whatever it might be. So for me, I'm just a little bit concerned. The 3-round rolling average of 57 is really nice to look at. But I'm just not sure, and I just don't know what Ricky's going to do with that rotation. We've got so many edge middle forwards in that rotation there as well, and players playing out of position. Hoskin can play any role, so I just don't know what that's going to look like, especially with Nicholson coming back and playing a few more minutes. And I'm just going to leave it because I don't really know what's going to happen with it.
Yeah, well, there we go. Let us know in the comments who your third middle forward is. Sif Kanga has said that his 3 are Haas, Williams, and maybe Cam Murray. Don't mind that Cam Murray shout, despite coming back from injury. Dyl, you and I are always a little bit hesitant of that. Mate, we made no secret that the edge forward is probably where we're going to have a few more selections from. So let's get into it. The strongly considers we've got on screen: Haumole Olakau'atu, Jacob Preston. I think Ryan Couchman minus Toby Couchman is going to be an absolute slam dunk. More to come on that. Hill and Lukey, a really nice matchup. Tallis Duncan returns from injury as some high upside points of difference, but could be pretty poor as well if things don't go their way or Tallis succumbs to an injury once again. And we're looking at fading Wong and Dylan Egan. Mate, strongly considers, you mentioned 4 edge forwards. Give me your top 2 at the moment. Are your top 2 on the screen there?
Yeah. The top two. Yeah, I think the top two select themselves at this stage based on a few other things. Olakau'atu, really plus matchup with the Storm. They're allowing 50 this season to right edges. Then Preston went out and scored 68 last week without an attacking stat on top of that. Olakau'atu scored 83 against the Storm in round 17 with 7 tackle breaks and over 150 running meters. So I think having the week off, back to hopefully playing some better footy. It's going to be a really interesting game. Storm, I think, they've won 1 of their last 5, and Manly the same. So they're both sort of needing a couple of wins to potentially push for a top 8 spot. So I think that's going to be an important matchup there for both sides. So I think Olakau'atu is going to do everything he can. We know how good he is in terms of attack. So yeah, if Preston can score 68 without an attacking stat, I think Olakau'atu's got that plus plenty more up his sleeve. And then that man Preston, I think we talked about him last week and starting to return to forms from that injury, and he went out and he scored 68. The thing for me that I really like in this matchup for Preston is that although conceding 80 points last week, Helam Lukey on the right edge still managed 60 GDS points against the Roosters. The week before that, Manu Leilua, he broke the 70 GDS points. We haven't really seen a whole lot from Manu Leilua yet, and we saw some really nice things there. Preston now lines up in that same spot with plenty of base and power behind him, plus that attacking upside that we've talked about a lot from Jacob Preston, running at Sammy Walker, who's missed 13 tackles in his past 3 games. I think that's an easy pick. I think if he doesn't have a couple of tackle breaks and maybe even a line break and a try to boot, I think that we'll be rubbing our heads going, what is going on with Jacob Preston this week?
Yep, I can't agree more with those 2 picks. All right, this is where it gets a little bit spicy then. Let's talk about Kilikefi Fine-Filiaki first. He gets that nice matchup with the Brizzy Broncos left edge. That's leaked like a sieve all season long. Recent scores of 56, 58, and 63 against them. But that was prior to Jermaine McEwen going just 13 in 65 minutes this week. Just gone. Look, I'm happy to put a line through that. I'm going to back the Katoa and Fine-Filiaki combo to score well this week. He's not on our strongly consider because I do like a Ryan Couchman, of course. Talk to me. Fine-Filiaki or Ryan Couchman for you?
Yeah, it's Fine-Filiaki, and there's a few reasons, and I'll talk about Ryan Couchman and the reasons why I'm not keen on him soon. But Fine-Filiaki, I think, has a really positive matchup. Like you said, put a line through McEwen's 13. Outside of that, the Broncos are leaking points to right edges, averaging 53 this season. The thing about Fine-Filiaki that I really like, he's traveling really well. Last 3 rounds, he's averaged 57 GDS points, which includes only 1 attacking stat in that time, and that is a line break throughout that whole 3-round or 3-game stretch. He is looking so dangerous when he gets the ball at the line. It's ridiculous how he hasn't had more attacking stats. And I've got a question for you. And everyone, you can play at home. When was the last time Fine-Filiaki actually crossed the line and scored a try?
Yeah, you've got me. I want to say I can picture it. It's a Isaiah Katoa short ball on the right edge. I want to say 2 months ago, minimum.
Yeah, exactly. It's round 9. Round 9 was the last time he scored a try against the Storm. And yeah, it's that short ball that we love to see. He runs that line so well. What I love is watching the Dolphins where they always play out the back behind him, because I know that 2 or 3 plays later, he's going to get that short ball, and that player that's marking up against him is just going to slide just that slight too far, and he's going to go through the line. And we've seen it a couple of times. He's been so close 3 or 4 times in the last couple of weeks, and it must be this week. But without any attacking stats, averaging 57, there's just so much attacking upside to Fine-Filiaki. I think it has to be that it's him over anyone else for me, and he will be the 3rd edge for sure. What it means is that at this stage, I can't find a spot for Ryan Couchman, and I've got a question mark over him as, is he a fade this week? The Sharks, and look, there's an albeit to it, so I'll get there in a moment. The Sharks have allowed an average of 23 points to locks in the past 3 weeks. The albeit is Gerbo, Croker, and Knowles are the 3 locks that came up against them. Yeah, they're not big names, but look, the Sharks, even if we go back for the rest of the season, they've only had 4 scores over 55 all season from locks. So it's not like they've been allowing points willy-nilly, and it's just the last 3 weeks. If you look at the Sharks over the last 3 weeks in any position, they haven't allowed any points because they're obviously really switched on for this run home. Look, one of those 55s or 55 plus early in the season is Ryan Couchman scoring 65 in round 14. That's where it gets a little bit muddled. But I think for me, Fini Furiaki just has way more upside than Ryan Couchman. I think a lot of people are going to go there because maybe they didn't play him last week and they missed out on his 90 and they want to chase that. After I know that we both talked about him quite a lot last week. But I just think for me that just some of those numbers, the way the Sharks are playing at the moment, the Dragons don't have a lot on the line. The Sharks have got plenty to play for. They're hunting a top two, potentially a minor premiership. I think it's going to be a bit of a whitewash this weekend. And I think Couchman might just come back down to earth a little bit.
Yeah, interesting numbers that you throw up there. Obviously, I maybe put a bit more stock into some matchups, for a winger, maybe if a defensive team is keeping a certain side of the field without scoring any tries, it might be a really good side, might be a good player on a wing, but might be an easy fade if the opposition team isn't conceding. I don't really worry too much about the fact Sharkies are keeping locks to just 23 points. I think Ryan Couchman is set up to succeed regardless of the situation. No Toby Couchman. Emre Gula comes in. He's not a big minute forward. Ryan Couchman can play 70 or more. He probably could play 80. He hasn't been asked to just yet, but he's had a number of games this season already in the 70s. No Toby Couchman there, so maybe it's his time to shine and his time to be the leader of this pack. I just think everything's set up for him to succeed, regardless of what the stats are saying. He's averaging 43.5 tackles, 131 running meters per game, and that includes 4 or 5 matches coming off the interchange bench for just 50 or so minutes. 98 points with the try last week in just 59 minutes, 43 tackles, 188 running meters, 5 tackle breaks and 3 offloads is what's so impressive, that this young Dragons forward pack are just looking at ways to promote the footy and rip in for their side. So, yeah, look, numbers aside, I just don't see a world where he doesn't go well. Yes, he might be standing under the sticks for half of the match, which would limit his base. But I just think, with Toby not there, it's a bit of a slam dunk for me. And I'd certainly recommend all coaches to consider him in their starting lineup, at least in that under 24 competition with plenty of salary. Dyl, if you do look past Ryan Couchman, is there a particular Rabbitoh that you're interested in? Obviously, Tallis Duncan returning from injury, playing in the centres, has been scoring excellently well out there. We've got Keon back at prop, where he does perform a lot better. David Fifita could be a bit of a spicy point of difference option too. Plenty of options there. Are there any bunnies that you're interested in?
I have to put my love of David Fifita aside, I think, this week. I really want him to, I really want to push him into my side, but I just don't think I can. More than likely, he'll play right edge, I think, based on what's happening. Adam Elliott playing left edge last week. I'd say continues that side. Fifita scored 48 against the Eels in round 17 on that right edge, so it's probably not the greatest matchup. The Eels are allowing 50 this season to right edges, 45 to pass 3. So out of those bunnies, I'm probably looking at Klongmatangi at prop. His pass 3, 53 GDS points. His pass 5, 61. The concern, we've talked about it quite a bit, is when Klongmatangi plays at prop with Murray in the side, he's averaging 68 minutes and 47 points. If Murray's not on the side, he's averaging 80 minutes and 60 plus GDS points. So, yeah, for me, that's the question mark. Do we still play Klongmatangi even though Murray is back, albeit, as we've touched on, he's coming back from injury? But then we also have a look at that bench makeup. Gray, Humphreys, Sullivan, along with Hubner, Kepi and Fletcher. They're not big guys. You could see quite a number of options there. Humphreys sort of comes in and plays that ball-playing lock type role. He might spell Smith at hooker. Gray, who knows? He can come on and play anywhere. Sullivan probably just there as some half backup, potentially might play hooker. Hubner's played a few different roles. Kepi up front, and then we haven't seen too much of Fletcher. So there's plenty of minutes available, I think, for players that are already on the field starting. And Klongmatangi, if we can get 80 minutes from him, then I think, definitely wheels up. But I'm just not sure whether that's going to be the case based on what we've seen with Murray in the side in the past.
Yeah, plenty of options there from the bunnies. I just wish Keon, we'd see him playing 80. Cam Murray definitely clouds that a little bit. For me, I might even consider the likes of Hill and Lukey, Beau Fermor tomorrow night. Both a really nice matchup. There could be an amazing number of points tomorrow night, all things considered, with how the Cowboys were last week, and the Titans are leaking plenty of points as well. Hill and Lukey and Beau Fermor matching up against one another, would you believe? But both sides giving up 60-odd points, and it's actually Hill and Lukey and his matchup. The Titans are giving up 70-plus scores in the last couple to right edge back rowers. Jacob Laban even had a 70-plus score, and so did Haumole Olukwatu. So I think those two boys are definitely ready to fire tomorrow night. And if you're not considering them for your week-long sides, certainly options for the Stats Lab primetime competition, and plenty of good forward options tomorrow night and Friday. So those two might fly under the radar slightly. So make sure you consider them. Dyl, I know Penrith is definitely tuning in and listening. Do you want to summarise your 4 edge options that you're pretty confident running out with this round?
Yeah, look, I'm not super confident now that you've thrown out a whole lot of things to me with Ryan Couchman. I am questioning that, but look, it's definitely going to be Olukwatu, Preston. Kalongamatangi is in my side at the moment. He's going to stay there, and it's just going to be that decision. Fini Fuaki and Couchman. So there's 5 names there. I've got to fit 4 in. Might be Kalongamatangi who misses out if I do bring Couchman into the side, but I'm really high on Fini Fuaki. And just quickly, Sif Kanga, question marks around Hamish Stewart. Where does he fit in, and what does that look like? I think for me, I'm probably just going to keep him in my under 24s. I don't think he'll be a full round player for me this week.
Yeah, not a 4-round play. Definitely a little bit of a bump, maybe in minutes and base work there with Toby Couchman not there. But yeah, he's been super impressive. Roll him out in your under 24s and move on to the next guy. He'll get you plenty of points.
Yeah, love it.
Right, mate, let's move on to the halves position. It's finally good to see that plenty of options there in the forwards, that we still don't really know who we're rolling out in the middle and edges. It's a very different story in the halves position, isn't it? Not only do we have Nathan Cleary, Nicho Hynes and Jaden Campbell in plenty of form, but all 3 matchups are pretty red hot. Nathan Cleary averaging 77 for the season, out-averaged in the past 3 weeks by Nicho Hynes' 81. Be a brave man leaving either of those 2 out of your sides. Jaden Campbell, not to super score last round. You and I mentioned it a couple of times on last week's show. We know that the upside was there. It was a difficult matchup. We still played him, and we were left licking our wounds slightly. But tomorrow night there against the Cowboys, Jaden Campbell is not going to go sub 40 again. Let me promise you that. Dyl, is it pretty simple that we're just looking at Cleary, Hynes, Campbell this week, which is funny to say given Sam Walker scored 116 points last round and he can't even get a start in our squads this week?
Firstly, I want to point out I did make an error on the screen there. Jaden Campbell's average isn't 72. His average is 62 for the season, but his 3-round rolling average is 72. So for anyone sitting at home watching, thinking, how is that possible? I apologise. Look, yeah, for me, it is just a copy-paste of those 3, I think. It is important that we point out. So I was a little bit concerned about JC last week against the Warriors. I couldn't bring myself not to play him in my main comps. I did play Sif Kanga's boy in Wishart as a pod in one of my other comps, and I was a bit upset that he moved to hooker and played the rest of the game through the middle there, but he still scored quite well. But this week is definitely a must-have after what we saw Sammy Walker do to the Cowboys. I think JC is one of the best plays, I think, this week in terms of the halves, and that's saying something when we've got Cleary and Hynes, both if you look at those 3-round averages of 81 for Hynes and 71 for Cleary. So, yeah, definitely JC is one of those better matchups. It's tough to look anywhere else, really, to be honest, because of, like you said, the elite performance that we see from Cleary and Hynes and the plus matchups that we have in front of us. It would be a different story if there was a tougher matchup. If, say, the Sharks were playing the Panthers, then I would be really thinking about whether I would play Hynes. But for me, it's a really simple one. There's a couple of decent pods, though, out there that if you did want to sort of go left when everyone's going right, there are some opportunities. And I think Cameron Munster's probably one of them that you might look at. He's obviously back from injury, much needed from the Storm, I think, for sure. And it's an interesting one. Manly are giving up plenty of points to left halves, been giving up 50 over the past 3 matches to left halves, and then past 5, that increases to 55. You think based on that team makeup that, look, the young gun Watson probably isn't going to be the dominant half, and Munster is going to have to do a lot of the playmaking as well as the running of the ball, as we've seen from Munster in the past. And we just have to go back to round 17. Money scored 52 against Manly without an attacking stat. So if we can see 52 in base and power, and he has a couple of try assists, etc., I think that Munster is definitely going to be up there in the top sort of 3, 4, 5 come the end of the week in terms of points scored in halves.
Yeah, another player returning from injury. That game over in Perth, you probably expect the NRL to want those two sides to put on a show. Obviously, the new team coming to Perth, and they want the fans getting out there and loving rugby league. So probably expect a little bit of a free-flowing game, maybe some more points, and that's the kind of game you expect Cam Munster to sort of stand up and have his fingerprints all over it. I think you'd be a brave person playing Cam Munster against over the likes of Nathan Cleary, Nicho Hynes, Jaden Campbell, like you just mentioned. Ethan Sanders has been in red-hot form. We knew that it would be a bit of a down game there against the Penrith Panthers. Still pretty good, but look, the road is a lot easier moving forward once you see the back of the Penrith Panthers. So Ethan Sanders is always a bit of a shout, definitely in the under-24 competition. Someone who had a big under-24 result last week was Fletcher Sharp, back in that 5'8" position. You've got him as a fade this week, though, Dyl. What's the reasoning there?
Yeah, the last 3 weeks, your boys have stepped up. The Raiders have really sort of found some form at the back end of the season, maybe a little bit too late. I'm not quite sure yet. We'll see how the next few weeks go. But yeah, the Raiders allowing 31 to left halves in the past 3. And look, Sharp, obviously, what he scored 90 plus last week, a couple of tries. It's probably the best we've seen him this season, but he just doesn't have that consistency. And it's been an absolute roller coaster if you are a Sharp owner of the All-Star, of his prize card, or any of those kind of cards where you sort of have to find a way to get him into your sides, whether that's the under-24s or across the full round. For me, he is probably only a consideration for under-24s, but we've got some pretty good options. Look, just on Sam Walker as well, for me, he's not a full round option based on that matchup with the Doggies. The Doggies have been pretty good at restricting halves for the last 3 weeks as well. All halves are only scoring 38 points against the Dogs in the last 3. So it's quite a tough matchup there. And I think Sammy Walker's going to find it just a little bit more difficult than he did last week.
Dyl, Cozzies Pozzies asked a question here, or made a bit of a statement that Hynes has a red cross beside his name. For those not sure what that means, GameDay Squad has had a bit of an update in the last few days, a fantastic update that's going to help plenty of coaches. We can now see a number of different tags associated with the player, from their availability, selected into the side, right through to injuries, and a number of other tags there that you can get plenty of information about your players. Nicho Hynes does have a red cross beside his name. Now, he has been selected. He is in that number 7 jersey for the Sharkies this weekend against the St. George Dragons. We probably will need to investigate that deal. You might know a bit more info than me about how that all works, but we'll certainly be messaging everyone on the GameDay Squad Discord server if there are any sort of hiccups or any little issues or any bugs like that, and we'll try to get that fixed nice and quickly. But look, if you have seen a red X next to Nicho Hynes' name, don't panic yet anyway. He's definitely still playing, but we'll get through plenty of updates when we can. Do you want to add anything on top of that new feature, Dyl?
Yeah, just on that, I have a feeling there's actually 2 versions of Nicho Hynes.
There is, but they've both got the red cross on it.
Nicholas. So I wonder if one of those has the red cross because he's named as something else on there. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. There's not many players that have that. I think he's just decided that he would prefer Nicho over Nicholas there. But yeah, look, plenty of opportunity there to talk about some of the new features that are rolled out. Not only are there the selection tags in terms of, as you said, selected, not available, injured, long-term, short-term, etc. But there are also, when you go into select cards now, it's going to show their percentage selected across standard competitions. So it will give you a bit of an idea of who's picking who across each of the competitions. And there's also going to be projections of scores for that upcoming round. And that is just a base score projection. So even if you were putting a gold, diamond, etc. into your side, you would be able to see your base score projection for each of those players that you are playing. So some awesome features, some great updates, and that is all happening over on the GameDay Squad, both the desktop and the app version as well. So make sure you update the app.
Do you imagine sitting second in a competition heading into Sunday and looking at Nico Hines' percentage played and deciding that every chance the person in front of you has him in your team and you decide to swap him out for a Braden Trindle? Gee, that feature could pay off for some, but could be definitely risky for others. Very exciting regardless, and definitely going to help those playing in the NFL, the gridiron competition as well, particularly with the early starts. We get some nice news nice and early, and if someone's ruled out, we can leave them out of our squads and not get that dreaded 2 o'clock message saying that they're not playing and we've got a donut in our sides. Mate, let's move on to the centres. No Adam Dewey bounced back with a magnificent ton last week. Gee, he's a good halfback, isn't he? Fortunately, we've got Herbie Farnworth back from the bye, so I think that's an automatic selection. Look, despite being down on his season-long average, 66 for the season, just 58 over the past 3, I think we'll see the Finns, certainly make a run home. Obviously, a nice performance last week, and the Bronx this week, so we can probably expect plenty of more points for Herbie. I don't think we need to get into him too much, but Cooler and Stephen Crichton, 2 pretty good options there. Crichton's showing a lot of form recently, whereas Cooler has gone off the ball a little bit. What do you like about Stephen Crichton, and can you fit Cooler into your side?
Yeah, that's definitely the question is where do I go with those two, Critter or Cooler? Obviously, Critter coming off that big game. And it's weird because we are so keen on Adam Dewey each and every week because of that out-of-position play. He's playing in the halves, but we can play him in the centres, and Critter's in the exact same position. So why is he not just an automatic pick? I think for me, there's a couple of reasons. One, you talked about it last week, the 8 missed tackles. He obviously reduced that to just 1 week gone by, and he had some really good attacking stats. Left halves had a pretty modest return over the past 3, averaging 43 against the Roosters. So the matchup data sort of suggests there is some upside there. But we did see Wishart pump out that 62 in round 20. So that obviously pumped it up as well. So there's been some down scores over the last couple of weeks. Critter himself moving to the halves in round 17. He's averaging 51. Obviously, that's the 82 really that pumped that up. He scored 2 tries. He assisted 2 more, and he kicked 4 goals. So for me, the Roosters are in some form, though, and it's really tough to know whether that's going to be replicated from Critter or whether it is going to go back to that week prior where he scored 30 points and he had 8 missed tackles, and we lost a lot through those demerits. And I think for me, the upside of Cooler is probably just going to edge Critter out. But I can see a world where a lot of coaches are going to flock towards Stephen Crichton purely because of that 82. And even looking at his sort of the 5-round, I guess, average of 51 when playing in the halves.
Yeah, I think it is a bit of a case of chasing last week's points, given the matchup with the Roosters, in some serious form. The Doggies have turned a bit of a corner in terms of their attack, and that probably has coincided with the shift that Crichton has made to the halves. I think they're just going to really struggle against that red-hot Roosters. And if there's ever a week to sit someone like Stephen Crichton, it's probably with this matchup. And I don't mind the Cooler shout despite averages being down, particularly because it's that matchup, again, with the Melbourne left-hand side. We spoke about the Dogs last week and liking Critter. We liked Matty Burton in the centres. He scored 42 points. Jethro Rinakama on the wing outside him scored 55. There's plenty of points for anyone lining up on the left-hand side. It's just pretty much whoever can end up crossing the line, crossing the stripe. And I think Cooler's speed and skill is probably going to be the difference here. And I think he's going to find his way to the try line. And I think Manly are going to put on some points down this side of the field, despite no Tommy Turbo. So, yeah, I'm pretty high on Cooler. Gee, it would have been nice to have KL Iro available. The Dragons giving up plenty of points to the left-hand centres. In saying that, we've got Hiroti as a bit of a point of difference for that very reason. Look, Manly the St. George Dragons gave up 76 to Herbie and 55 to Jalen de Groot. back in round 21 who scored 2 tries. So look, if the group can score 55, there's every chance Hiroti can score a big score inside Ronaldo and linking up with the likes of Braden Trindle, Nico Hines as well. But I don't think we'll have a very high percentage on Hiroti at all, but it wouldn't surprise to see him put up a big score. Mate, tell me about Jojo Fafita tomorrow night. You think he's primed for a bit of a score?
Yeah, if I guess you look at it and you go, okay, I don't have a critter, I don't have a cooler, or you don't like either of them based on what we've seen over the last few weeks, then yeah, Jojo Fafita I think is a pretty good point of difference. Facing the hapless Cows, obviously, after their record-breaking loss. Cows have allowed 48 GDS points to right centres in the past 3, 10 points above their season average to right centres. So obviously there's something happening at the Cows that's not quite going their way, and their defensive woes will continue. Toy across for a try, added 2 try assists and 5 tackle breaks down that side. And hopefully Jojo gets sort of back to that 50 to 60 that we saw around 2021 with that softer opponent. Bit tougher last week against the Warriors. But yeah, I think this week he's in a really good spot to score well. Just a couple of things as well. Farnworth is currently on 126 tackle breaks. He's leading Suafa-Longo by 12, but has played 2 less games than him. So I think Farnsworth is easily going to crack 150, and then we'll see if he can pump that average well above 7 tackle breaks per game as well.
Yeah, beauty. Keep on that Herbie tackle break watch for us. Battle of Brizzy tomorrow. Battle of Brizzy this week. We're expecting a knockout blow to that man, Farnworth, giving up just 18 points to right centres. So we got Tony Staggs as a no-go. Similarly, Bradman Best, the Raiders, defending really well against left centres. That's where we know that the Knights are going to attack, limiting left centres to just 29 points in the past 3 matches. Dyl, let's talk wingers. Suafa-Longo, plenty of form despite every single superstar around him falling over. He does see the return of Cam Munster, so maybe that's a good thing. Maybe not. Who knows? But I think he's definitely in consideration once again for all coaches. It's probably that second wing spot. We have been defaulting to Jermaine Asako. Given that he plays in a pretty attacking side, he can score plenty of points, both with scoring and with conversions. We haven't quite seen that. That average has dipped below 50 over the past few rounds, and there's one man going in the opposite direction, and that's Ronaldo Mulatalo outside Hiroti that we just spoke about in the last segment there. So given that we are likely, or given if you are going Suafa-Longo, what's the tiebreaker there between Asako and Ronaldo? Or can you do a Matty Fantasy Bro Matt and play 3 wingers in your side?
I don't know if I can, although this might be the week that you do it if there are some question marks over Teddy, some question marks over Walsh as well. Ponga put up some good numbers last week after coming off the injury. So yeah, there are some question marks over a couple of fullbacks. So potentially this is the week to do it. But I think for me, it has to be the Sua Jermaine Asako combo one more time. I think that in terms of that Broncos Dolphins matchup, the Broncos have allowed 40 GDS points to right wingers this season, but have upped that to 50 in the past 3. So we obviously saw a bit of a down game from Asako last week, and then also in that Sharks game. So he's had a couple of down games. He must bounce back. He must be at a point where we're going to get a big return very soon. And like we said, this is obviously the place to do it. Suncorp Stadium, Saturday evening, I think a 5:30 kickoff. It'll be hopefully perfect conditions. I think there's plenty of opportunity for him to score. And as we continue to say, if he doesn't score the tries, he's converting them. And it just means that he's going up in 3s at the very least. If he does score, then he's going up in at least 13 plus every time he gets his hand on the ball near the line. So I think that just you have to go with that matchup, I think. But there are some really good point of differences, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get to tomorrow night and some of those played percentages are very similar, around the sort of 25% across a number of wingers. And I wouldn't even put it past people to fade Falongo this week based on the tougher matchup that it has in front of him in terms of what Manly are allowing to fullbacks. But the question for you, just quickly, a side note, we're getting closer to the end of the season. Prize cards start to become a big talking point. We obviously know that Sua is going to move from that wing tag to fullback next season. Do we see him falling quite high in the prize card draft because of what we've seen from him this year, or is it going to be a sort of a lower pick because people are going to be concerned about that role change in terms of GDS?
Great question. No, I think the role change might just be a bit of a psychological thing if it's going to prevent coaches from selecting him. Look, he's proven it's his first sort of full season at that custodian role there for the Storm, and he's been electric. Yeah, he has been an absolute cheat code because we could play him in the wing. But look, if he was selectable as a fullback only this year, he'd be in conversation amongst the rest of those fullbacks each and every week. So, yeah, look, I think age is certainly on his side. We haven't heard too much from Ryan Pappenhausen recently. So, look, yeah, I think there's every reason that Suafa'alongo is probably, definitely worthy of a top 10, top 12 sort of pick in that prize card draft, despite definitely moving to a fullback tag.
Yeah, as you said, he is still one of the highest averaging fullbacks. If we looked at him from a fullback, I think maybe fourth or fifth. Even just the last 3 rounds, he's sort of in that realm of top 5 fullbacks. So yeah, unreal from him. Look, for me, I think that the biggest pod is going to be that man, Ronnie Muatalo. Even in the full slate, we've obviously got him for the Sunday Showdown. I think he's going to be highly owned Sunday Showdown. I might not even move my diamond from that Sunday Showdown team. I think I might keep it there. The Dragons allowing 49 down the left side versus only 32 down the right over the past 3. 2 tries to Cobbo last week, followed up by AKP and Sami the previous 2 weeks as well. They had a try each. So, look, Ronnie Muatalo's on an absolute hot streak, 5 tries in the past 4 games. Wouldn't surprise me if he got a double down that left side again as well.
Yeah, I agree with you there, mate. If people want to go against Jermaine Asako, given that we haven't seen him reach the attacking heights as frequently as we probably would have liked, just the 34 points against the Dragons, no tries, 4 goals in that match. Is Selwyn Cobbo someone that we could probably get to, knowing that that combination with Herbie down the left and a pretty weak spot where they probably will attack the Broncos? Can we go against Asako with Cobbo and with any confidence?
If you are a coach that loves to watch a massive truck slowly roll past and maybe crash through a brick wall, then yes. Cobbo, for me, I find him so frustrating. He's an unreal player. He just takes so long to get off the mark and to get to top speed, and then he's just got so many errors in him as well. But if he turns up and he's ready to and rearing to play, then it's unreal to watch. I think he's a big pot option for a couple of reasons. Big Greggy Marju crashed over for 2 tries last week down that left wing. He scored 79 GDS points. Cobbo himself on an absolute hot streak of tries, scoring a double in each of his past 3 games and at least 1 try in his past 6. So, look, if you're not too bothered about how slow he can be at times and how he might miss a tackle or 2 and drop the ball close to their line and give up potentially some points, I think, put Cobbo into your side, because I think there's plenty of attacking upside there. It's just going to be whether you can handle some of those demerits as well.
And those 2, Cobbo, Farnworth, return to Suncorp against their former side. You'd expect them to certainly want to get one over their bigger brothers. Mate, Mark Nawangani-Tuase, what did you not like about his 94 3-try, 6 tackle break, 252 run meter performance last week? Why have we got him as a fade this week?
It's a tough one again. We talked about his absolute cold streak. I think he was on averaging 20 points in the previous 4 games or something like that, and then he goes out and throws a 90 in our faces. Look, again, I've talked about the Dogs. Their defensive work is pretty sound over the last couple of weeks. They're only allowing 25 to right wingers over the past 3. So, yeah, look, he's shown he is a try-scoring machine, and he might just have a few games where he goes down and back up, and it's that classic boom or bust opportunity for a lot of wingers that we have. But I just see a lot more upside and a lot more safety in others. Nawangani-Tuase could give you a 90-plus score, or he could give you a 10 to 15, and you really don't want that in your side. Knowing that, even though a score is going to drop out, there's always injuries, and as soon as we get an injury and they score a 5 or 6, then that's going to definitely be the score that drops out, and you're going to be stuck with Nawangani-Tuase's 19 points against the Dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. Can't get there myself this week either, despite the massive performance last round. Dyl, plenty of question marks over some very highly played fullbacks and some high averaging ones at that as well. Kalen Ponga, excellent performance upon returning from injury against the Bronx last round. Still some reports of some tightness in that quad. Teddy has his own issues. Reece Walsh as well. it's we're already without Tommy Trebojevic, Latrell Mitchell. When is he ever going to return? Dill Edwards 1 week has turned into 3 or 4. What's going on there? Gee, it's basically a case of who's still standing in the fullback position. I don't really have a lot of confidence going anyone, let alone 3 players. We've got Ponga, Hammer, and Teddy in our strongly considers. Of that lot, is there anyone you're super confident with, and why?
Probably Hammer.
Yeah.
I think Hemiso Tabuai-Fidow is probably going to be the number 1 fullback this week, mainly because the others could just completely fall over and not even make the starting the start of the game. So for me, I think Hammer is in my side, although it's a few performances have probably been below expectation over the last few weeks. We did talk about sort of he doesn't necessarily need that try to have a big game, and he obviously scored early, and we're sort of thinking, well, here we go. We've got a big score in our hands, and it didn't quite return. Yeah. But I think that kind of makes him a bit of a point of difference maybe as well. People jumping off where they've seen some big games from him. He hasn't quite delivered over the last couple of weeks. Maybe they're going to look elsewhere. For me, though, it's going to be that matchup. We've talked about their Broncos matchup plenty. The Broncos are giving up between 50 and 60 GS points for fullbacks over the past 3 weeks, or past 3 games, excuse me. And it wouldn't surprise if we get an even bigger score this weekend with that game. I potentially could be all sorts this weekend. Obviously, the Broncos are in a world of hurt at the moment with where they're at and a couple of injuries, etc., and not quite finding their best performance. These two played back in round 4 as well, the Broncos and the Dolphins, and Hammer there scored a very modest 42. So if any coaches look at that and think I'm not keen, they're going to jump off. I think that's just gold for us then, because I think he's going to be one of the top scoring fullbacks this weekend.
Yeah, I think he will be too. Kalen Ponga returned from injury really well, did surrender those kicking duties to Sandon Smith. Could have been an absolute massive score had he retained those duties, but obviously still a little bit of tightness through that quad. The numbers, the stats on paper don't look too good against the Canberra Raiders, but let us know who the Raiders fullback oppositions have been in the past 3 weeks and if they're any similar to Kalen Ponga.
They definitely aren't. When we look at the last 3 weeks, Raiders restricted fullbacks to 36, but that is Jackson Edgar, Matt Duffy, and Dream Fuller. And obviously those 3 combined, probably not as good as Ponga solo. So, that's obviously probably not the best to look at, although, like I said, the Raiders have been pretty good defensively across the park in general. The question marks for me are going to be over the healthiness of Kalen Ponga, and the goal kicking is going to be a big one as well. And we're obviously going to have to wait until 20, 30 minutes before the game where we've got some goal kicking practice, and we're probably going to see Ponga and Sandon Smith line up for a few, and that's not going to help us at all. But we might have to make that decision whether we go with Ponga. But if we don't, there's not too much outside of that. You brought up James Tedesco. He's dealing with his ankle injury. I believe he's got a fitness test tomorrow. We'll find out a little bit more tomorrow. He's obviously named. He's got to pass that. If we get any word, as soon as we do, we will pass it on to everyone through Discord, etc. So that's going to be a tough one. Teddy's 3-round average is 56. That's with 5 tries across those 3 games. Against the Dogs, they're allowing 53 in the past 3. If we put a line through to a Peaky's injury and we consider Chance Nooker-Klokstad instead, the concern, obviously, like I said, Teddy's ankle. And even though he came off the field at halftime, he still put up a pretty good score of 50+ at halftime. Who knows what it could have been at the end of that game.
Yeah, absolutely. Mate, if coaches don't want to trust the Teddy ankle and they want to look elsewhere, is tomorrow night's Scotty Drinkwater v Keanu Kinney the place to look. For context, the Titans up against the Cowboys. Last week we saw Teddy 50 points at halftime. Cody Ramsey 56.5 in the second half. Look, him and James Tedesco combined for 111.1 points. Thank you very much as the fullback across the 2 halves there. Keanu Kinney lines up in that spot. Look, we're not expecting the Titans to put on 82 points, but look, if we're reading into it at all, there's plenty of points on offer. Can Keanu Kinney excel? And if he is, are we brave enough to roll him out tomorrow night?
we've been saying for what 3 or 4 weeks now, he has a plus matchup each and every week, and he's probably got the best run home of any fullback. And he scored 30 and then a couple of 50s during that time. So this must be the time that he really goes well and above that. Add to that 111 points that you talked about combined in that game, a combined 245 GDS points to 4 eligible fullbacks in the past 3 that the Cowboys have given up. So if Kenny can get anywhere close to sort of that 50, 60, 70, it obviously he's going to be a bit of a point of difference there as well. The other point of difference I don't mind, and look, I'll probably have to put my Warriors jersey on when I say this, but Chance Nickel-Klokstad at the back for the Warriors up against the Panthers. He's not a known elite fullback, but he has put up some decent scores in the past in certain games. When he has a few tackle breaks, he runs 200 plus meters and maybe a try assist or even a try himself, and he's got a pretty decent return. But the Panthers have allowed an average of 70 GDS points to fullbacks over the past 3, 58 to Weeks, 53 to Iongi, and then 89 to Walsh. So there is a world where Chance might score something around that 55 to 65 mark. And again, that might be just enough for your fullback role.
Yeah, I just don't understand how that just continues to happen against the Panthers. Fullbacks continue to score points and we continue to fade it despite the stats telling us to do it. Mate, Isaiah Iongi, we had a bit of faith in him last week to pull us out of a bit of a hole. We had to wait right until the late game Sunday Arvo. He scored a late try to sort of pull him out of trouble. 40 points in the end, not enough. You've got him on the fade list alongside Scotty Drinkwater.
Yeah, look, Iongi's probably just a fade for the full round. He's definitely a player in the under 24. Rabbitoh's allowing 45 to fullbacks. Kennedy obviously brought that down and he scored 23. We know what Kennedy's like. We know he delivers those 20-odd scores most weeks. So I wouldn't look too much into that. So it's not too bad of a matchup for Iongi. I just think there are a lot better options. And as you said, he was struggling a little bit at the end there. That was a horrible game, by the way, that Eels versus Tigers game. Yeah. I don't think I've seen a worse game of footy for a while. And somehow Adam Doueihi still came away with 100 GDS points, which is ridiculous. Look, and then Drinkwater, it's just not where we've seen him in the past. He hasn't been great. His last 3, he's averaging 42, which includes 9 goals and a try. So we just haven't seen a lot of what we love from Scotty Drinkwater in terms of his attacking upside, his line breaks, his try assist ability. We haven't seen any of that. We haven't seen a lot of running meters from him as well. So I think that plus the matchup with the Titans, they're allowing 39 in the past 3. Again, hindered by that man Kennedy, but still they're not allowing too many points to fullbacks, and it's going to be a miracle for the Cowboys to turn around what happened last week, and I don't think that happens in a 5 or 6 day turnaround.
Wow, there you go. Look, I don't mind him as a play in the Stats Lab primetime competition, just in case the Cowboys can turn things around without too much confidence. Speaking of which, here is our consensus starting 13 for that Stats Lab primetime competition. A massive shout out to the Stats Lab for their ongoing support of the Fantasy Bros. Make sure you head over to the statslab.app and check out all the awesome tools they have available. Player stats for every game, matchup strength, player comparisons, plus plenty more analysis tools to help you dominate GameDay Squad. Rolling through our side quickly, we've got Tino, IPAP, and Isaiah Yeo as the middle forwards, with Preston and Beau Fermor as a little bit of a pod on the edge. Ollie Pascoe at hooker, Nathan Cleary, Jaden Campbell. Geez, what a nice halves pairing, nice and early on this week. Jojo Fafita, Rob Toya, Marky Mark, Teddy, and Taulagi rounding out the rest of our side there. And Taulagi could be anything on that wing. Braden Burns on the other side. Who knows? We probably want to get spicy in the outside backs, and that's probably going to be the difference, I think, this week in the Stats Lab primetime competition. On screen is our consensus starting 13 for the full round competition. Isaiah Yeo, Payne Haas, Jackie Williams makes the 3 middle forwards we're keen on. Blake Brayley at hooker, Preston and Olakuatu pick themselves on the edges. Nico Hines, Nathan Cleary just ahead of Jaden Campbell, Herbie Farnworth and Stephen Crichton in the centres. Jermaine Asako, Suafa Alongo on the wings, with Kalen Ponga at fullback. Dyl, it's going from bad to worse for me. 2-1 once again to you in the BroDown Showdown. It was close. 10 Teddy, still only half a game. I thought that was guarantee a Hammer win, particularly after that first or that early try for Hammer. It wasn't to be. That means you are out to, and it's an assailable lead. It's not unassailable just yet. 14-9, I think it is, with 5 rounds to go. So let's see who voted for you and who ended up winning this round. We spun the wheel and it was Sif Kanger. Yes. I think we've got him in the chat as well. Congratulations, mate. Sticking with Dyl. Let's get some packs up and see what you've won, mate.
Yeah, unreal. As I do so, I've just seen that the Nicholas Hines issue has been updated, and he has a yellow tick that he's selected in both of those versions of the card. So that has been updated already. So hopefully moving forward, that will stay that way. Alrighty, let's jump in. Sif Kanger, mate, well done. Thank you very much. Let's get a rare 9-player rare pack for you. Can we see that on screen there, Stu?
Yes, perfect. Got it.
Alrighty, here we go. Remember, Sif, you get all 9 cards, mate. So give me a shout on Discord and we can get these to you. Alrighty, let's kick it off. We are starting with JMK Gold, the Preston Ricky Gold, and the Jed Stewart, the middle forward playing on the wing. We've got Verbo. We've got Ethan Sanders Gold there. That's a great little under 24. Nice. Arta Mariota playing on the edge. Jordan Samrani, he can return some decent numbers as well, actually. Jordan Samrani. And then Paddy Carrigan in the Platt, who could be a play based on what the Dolphins are giving up to locks this weekend as well. We didn't really touch on that, but that is definitely an option this weekend for you. So there you go, Sif. Make sure you get into my DMs over on Discord and we'll get those cards to you.
Good on you, mate. Thanks for the support as always. Here is the BroDown Showdown for round 23. I've gone Payne Haas, Hammer once again, and Haumole Olakuatu up against you've gone Jackie Williams. I love it. Yes. Kalen Ponga at fullback and Fini Fuiaki. If you think I could stay in the running and keep the competition alive, Dylan only needs 1 win from the last 5 rounds. It's a long task ahead. But I will be trying my best. Payne Haas, Hammer, Olakuatu, comment Stu in the chat now if you're listening or watching later on after Wednesday night show. Still pop your guess in the comments, and just like Sif Kanger, you can win a pack of your very own. If you think Dill's, Jackie Williams, Kalen Ponga and Fino Fuiaki are better, make sure you comment Dill's name there as well.
Yeah, mate, just before we go on, you do say I just need 1 more win from the next 5, and I will take out the BroDown Showdown for 2026. So I just want to remind everyone watching and listening what the prize was between the two of us. I believe we decided that the winner could pick any card from our GDS account. Is that right? Was that what it was?
Might need to find the sound bite for that, mate. I don't remember that whatsoever. Get back through the tapes.
I'll take one of your prize cards. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll certainly have to put something up if it is a comprehensive whitewash, if I can't claw anything back. Thank you very much once again for joining us for the round 23 preview show. Just 5 rounds to go. Hopefully, we've talked you into a couple of good plays that's going to shoot you up that leaderboard, whether it's for a weekly prize or maybe into prize card territory. Good luck for all of those still alive in the GDS Cup. Don't forget, you can sign up using our code FBRL26. It's never too late to do so, or join us for the NFL/gridiron season starting just around the corner. You'll be seeing a lot more content from us in the coming weeks. Still, thank you very much. Same time next Wednesday for round 24. I cannot believe it. The season's absolutely flying by. We're going to make room for the AFL boys. We'll keep you updated if we're going to be at 6 o'clock next week, or if we might push that back by half an hour. But thanks once again for joining us either live or catching up after the show's been posted out there. We appreciate all the support. Make sure you're liking and subscribing on YouTube, on Spotify and Apple. Good luck for this round, Dill. Good luck, everyone else. Catch you next week.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, everyone. Have a good week.